foe after shoot me now. Love that shit. and there was one, in the Saturday morning cartoons, there's one name I always kept seeing because I always read the credits. Like Frank Welker, this, and then I'd see him in movies, Frank Welker. Like, who is this Frank Welker? He does everything. Michael Bell was a guy I looked up to. He did a lot of like G.I. Joe and Transformers. Peter Cullen, who I got to work with, later on. Of course, Billy and Wayne and Rusey, all those cats. When you grow up watching cartoons, I would emulate them kind of like you did and annoy my family. Well, I was like the centerpiece for like every sort of like family gathering. Like, Jay, come in the living room and do the thing.
Get up and do something, kids.
Dance. Watch a lot of Saturday morning cartoons, and I would say Frank Welker for sure, who we've gotten to work with. He's amazing. He's like one of the most unassuming cats. And if you don't know Frank Welker, he's Fred in Scooby-Doo. He is also now Scooby-Doo. In Aladdin, he was Abu. He was the Cave of Wonders.
Who disturbs my slumber?
And the tiger. And who's seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? So the monkey that eats the date, the bad date, dies. That was Frank. Because Spielberg was like, the monkey doesn't sound like a monkey. We'll get Frank. Frank was,
sounds more like a monkey than a monkey. That's good on your resume.
He was Stripe in the Gremlins, Gizmo, Kaka. I mean, he's incredible, and definitely he's one of the guys you work with. And on the drive home, you're like trying to do his voice and stuff. Because he'll do like not just voices of animal characters, but like feedback. Electrical feedback and telephone sounds.
He was one of the cast of Goof Troop, and so I'd sit next to him, and he would like do crickets, and but he did it really good, and so the engineer's like going, "There's a damn cricket in the studio." Look around for this stuff, and Frank just smiling,
And he was Bigfoot in a Goofy movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Thank you, Lucinda. How about this side here? Hi, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Quincy.
Hi, Quincy.
Hi, Quincy.
I was wondering, what's the most difficult voice you can do or /sound?
Oh my goodness, difficult. Of classic characters I've done, and I only did like a line or two in Space Jam, is Yosemite Sam. Because you just have to, hey, rabbits! You got to really push it. The Goofy yell can kind of be rough because it's the loudest thing I do, which is when Goofy falls off a hill or something, and I always have to do it twice. Once I say, turn down the volume on this, and and they're going, wow, so they do it again. But the weirdest voice I think I did was some game called EverQuest, I think it was one. I did about 20 voices on that, but there was like a Cave of Winds or something, and it was like, see if I can do it, a double, it was kind of like a double voice, whoa, and it had like more than one little tone in it. That'll tear you up after a while, so that's my toughest.
I was fortunate enough to book a show called Mucha Lucha. And Carlos Alzraqui was the original voice of Ricochet. He got very busy, I think doing Reno 911, and he wasn't available, and so they threw it to me, which is, I'm not even Latino. I don't know why they thought of Marsden. But, so I went and I did, the best impression I could of that, and when you hire a voice actor, they give you a couple other roles. So I was Ricochet, which is really in my wheelhouse. It's just a little bit of Latin, kind of a young sound. But who's doing this? Who's putting up this stuff on the... What's your name, man?
I'm Dr. Andy.
Dr. Andy is like
Dr. Andy.
Doctor on the spot. Everything I mentioned, he just puts up there.
Wow.
Can you pull up that episode of Webster I did in 1986? I haven't seen that. So I did Ricochet, and then they threw me this other role. I can't remember his name, but he was the referee and he's very loud, and he's talking like this, and everything was shouted. Lucha! And I could do it for like a half an hour, and then my voice would be shot.
You sound like this for the rest of the day.
So that's the first thing that came to my mind, is like the toughest, weirdest thing.
That's also probably the toughest thing of doing any video games.
Yeah.
Is the last day they always do the screams and yells and stuff like that. And what was I doing? I did something like Evil Dead 2 or something like that, where I was like, Satan and Satan's cat or something like that. I can't remember.
It was one of those very deep voices. I will drag you to hell.
You know, one of those deep. You do that for about a half an hour, and you just you're sipping milk the rest of the day.
Yeah, the last session of like a video game is all like the combat stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like hours of like, okay, you're getting hit, you're getting punched in the face, give me a small, medium, large. Okay, now you're getting punched in the gut. Okay, now someone flicked your ear. Okay, now you're getting electrocuted. All this weird stuff. You had a weird one.
Oh, I had one. It was like army guys versus zombies, and one of the directions was, okay, the zombie has ripped your arm off and he's beating you with it. You know, it's just, okay.
How would that
that's
sound?
what I do.
How would that sound if a zombie was ripping Goofy's arm off?
Wow! I have to write that into a cartoon now. So.
I thought maybe he'd be like, oh, thanks, Mr. Zombie.
Can I have that back?
All right, your turn.
Hello.
Okay, hi.
No, you can be
No, what is your
completely
name?
anonymous.
My name's Yaren.
Now we know. Hi, Yarn.
I just have to ask, what's your favorite part about voice acting in general? Just
Oh, gosh.
regardless of what.
There's so many things. It's fun. It's freeing because you're inhabiting all these strange worlds and characters. And it's like being a kid again. You don't have to grow up. In fact, that imagination you have as a kid is so important in this because you just get to play so much. And also the people. Unlike any of the other studios that I've had, my friends at Disney, you know, Mickey, Minnie, and you, and they're family. You really are like my second son. My son thinks, you like him more than me, Dad. No, but no, it is like a family. And you get close because it's a relatively small community of voice actors. And unfortunately, I don't get to record with them, at least at Disney most of the time. We were on, what was it, Garfield. It was together a couple of years ago, I guess. And it was an ensemble where you all recorded like a radio play. But most of the time, I'll go in, do my lines on a Tuesday at 2 or something. And then Mickey will come in and do his at 3, and you'll do yours at 4. And you just may see people in the lobby, but you don't really get a chance to see them. But they do become like a family. That's probably the best part of it, I think.
Yeah, I will echo that, and I will say, for me, like, again, I'm working with people I listened to as a kid, and I'm constantly humbled, and I'm constantly in awe. I mean, as long as I've done this, and I'll speak for you as well. Like, aren't you constantly impressed by the people you work with?
Yeah, all the time.
And you cheer them on, and it's, I did a lot of on camera, and I'm grateful for all that experience. But I felt like auditioning on camera was a little more desperation, a little more pretension in that, and there was none of that in voiceover. When Billy's talking about like, it's about acting, and people can do an impression of Goofy, but they can't bring to it what Bill can. An example is 1998, the show The Simpsons. Mm-hmm. It was becoming crazy successful, and the cast appropriately got together like, hey, you know what? You're being successful. We want to share in this. I think we should have a bump in salary, don't you? And Fox went, okay, we're going to replace you. Mm-hmm. And they sent out a casting call to everybody, and I got a call. My agent's like, how's your Homer Simpson? Well, it's a cheap barroom invitation. Like, do you want to, they're looking for part. Do you want to read for it? I'm like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. That's Dan Castaneda's role. Yeah. I will ruin that. And everyone in our community did the same thing. We're like, no, that's their stuff. They deserve it. No. And ultimately, they prevailed, and they're still doing it to this day. That's what I appreciate about this community.
Have your back.
Yes. Thank you so much. What's happening, my man?
Not much. My name is Sinan. I've grown up with you guys. I love you both so much. I've seen so much with you guys. Jason, the worst movie I ever saw with you, but I love it because of it, was How to Make a Monster.
Run the clip.
And now what is it?
You'll never find it.
What is it?
How to Make a Monster.
How to Make a Monster.
I did a cheesy horror movie.
It was the greatest horror movie in my life.
Thank you.
Like, my friend showed it to me like 4 years ago. I was like, if I ever meet him, I need to bring this up.
Thank you.
And I hope you all look at this movie later. Anyway, so...
Great offense.
Anyway, so it's a
Oh my
two-part...
God. Oh, that is cheesy. Oh, wow. I love the knife in the eye. Isn't that great?
You know Sam Arkoff?
Oh, yeah, Samuel Arkoff.
So HBO
yeah.
bought all his titles.
Uh-huh.
He used to do him and his son, and they farmed out a bunch of directors, and they did like 5 or 6 of. They like, here's the title, you just rewrite the story. So I got to be in one of those. Yeah.
Anyway, so I got a two-part question. The first one is, in Goofy Movie, what was both your favorite song in that movie?
Oh, gosh. Well, for me, I don't know. I kind of like The Open Road. On the Open Road.
Yes.
But I also like Nobody Else But You, you know, because it's a very tender one. It was a very tender one. And that was a new emotion that we had to kind of come up with in that movie. Goofy had never had to be hurt before. He really hadn't had to be, you know, worried about Max. He was generally a happy-go-lucky guy. But to do the kind of the tender scenes was kind of a stretch a little bit to keep it goofy and still make it true to the emotion. And but The Open Road's just a fun song. We got to sing that at the D23 convention a couple of years ago, and in front of like 1,200 people, and they had Tevin Campbell there, and he did Eye to Eye. It was an incredible panel, and the fans were just amazing, just amazing. We got the #1 satisfaction polling. We beat out the Star Wars panel, and they had George Lucas and Harrison Ford.
Oh, wow.
I was happy with it.
Who shot first in that convention?
Yeah.
Don't you want to be hanging from a tree? Mighty glad to see you, and the parking's always free. Here at Lester's Possum Park Lane.
And the second part of my question is, after the panel, if you guys are able to, because I gotta leave the con like afterwards, quick selfie?
Oh, well, sure. We're going to be signing autographs at our place down there in the autograph pit.
Well, not together.
Not together?
Not together.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
I never know.
I don't know what his schedule is. I know we're going separate
different
ways.
stuff.
But I will commit. I can stay for like maybe 10 minutes, and I'm happy to do selfies.
Yeah, I don't have anything till 5:30 that I gotta go to, so I'll
wanna
be
stick
down
around
there.
for-
Yeah, I'll
for a
stick
couple-
around. I'll be
take a
down there.
picture with these
Yeah,
fine
come on.
people.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Paul, and I'm just so stoked to finally meet you guys in person. Like, especially Jason Marsden, you know, you played a big part of my childhood, you know, Binks the Cat and Hocus Pocus, Haku and Spirit
Oh,
of the
thank you.
Way.
You're not a virgin, are you? You don't have to answer that question. It's very personal. No virgins near that black flame candle. Cash in your V card before All Hallows Eve.
I want to say thank you for making my childhood awesome, because, you know, your voice has always been around in some sort of cartoon or movie, and that's just really made a wonderful childhood for me.
Dig it,
And I just
man.
wanna
Thank
say
you.
Thank you for that. And my question is, you know, when you played the role of Binks the Cat, how was that like, you know, voicing, you know, the boy trapped in the cat's body?
It was a challenge. It was groovy. But it was a challenge. I don't know who's seen Hocus Pocus? A couple. Okay. Well, I don't know if you've noticed when you watch the movie that in the very beginning, the boy who turns into Binks doesn't look anything like me. Okay, it's not me. That is a fantastic actor, my friend Sean Murray, who booked the role. He was cast as Thackeray, the human character. He was also cast as the voice. And as movies often do, they evolve and they change. And they finish shooting the movie, they're in the middle of post-production, they've animated the cat, like most of it. They're like, you know what? I think Sean was doing his natural voice. And like, you know, Binks is, 300 years old from colonial Salem. He should have more of an old world kind of sound. And so they had an audition process. I read for it, I booked it. So not only then I had to not just loop Binks, I had to loop Sean as well. In fact, in the beginning when he's trying to save his sister and he climbs through the water and he gets on the spinning wheel and he's and he's look at the witches torturing his sister, and there's a close-up on his face, and he's breathing heavy, and you see that bead of water going in and out of his nostril. You know, you've seen it, right? Okay, that breathing, that's my breathing. Like, that's like how like detailed they had to be. And it's hard for me to, I can do it, ADR is like, that the process of it is easy, but I don't, I won't say I don't like, but it's a challenge to match someone else's rhythm. And I wasn't able to like take my time with it. I had to fill this space. So it was a challenge. I thought I lost my accent a couple of times. I could have sworn Binks turned Australian at one point. But ultimately, I had a great time. I had no idea 20-some years later that y'all will be watching it every Halloween like I watch A Christmas Story. So it's a groovy thing.
Yeah, ADR, for those of you who don't know, I don't know, I've heard automated dialogue, I've heard additional dialogue recording, which makes more sense to me. It's where, you know, you're actually watching the film and you're trying to put the voice into the character you see on screen and the amount of times and the lip flaps that the characters are doing. It's kind of there's a whole specialized part of voiceover that's, you know, loop grouping or looping, and you'll get in a loop group and you'll do a movie and you add like, I'm in a lot of movies that you'd never know it was me. Like the probably most obscure is in Beauty and the Beast. I was a lot of the people, attack the beast, kill the beast, you know, going up the hill. But there was one where Gaston was singing about decorating with antlers in the bar and everything, and he throws 3 eggs up in the air, and they go, and that's me, I'm eggs. You get to do weird things, you know. And you show up and, you know, you get to do a lot of incidental characters. Oh my God, that's incredible. There, see those 3 little, that's me, right there. Gonna be an omelet. That's incredible. My God. We gotta get some obscure things. We gotta give this guy a test here.
Something obscure for you. So.
Okay.
Let's hear it. You please, Paul?
Yeah, I did. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay, thank you.
What's up, my man? What's your name?
So I've got actually 2 questions, one for Bill and one for you. For Bill, is Pete a cat or a dog?
Pete is a cat.
I knew it.
In the original, like, you know, Steamboat Willie, mice chased by the evil cat. So that's as simple as that. Yeah.
So like with Goof Troop, he looks more like a bobcat, possibly.
I guess. I don't know what kind of cat, but he always is. And yeah, and his wife Peg kind of has big ears. It's kind of hard to tell that they're cat people against the dog people.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Thank you for that. So, Jason,
Sir.
This is a weird question. You
Bring
said
it.
you grew up with Saturday morning cartoons and all that. How did it feel working on Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue?
Oh, does anyone know?
Yeah.
Familiar with that?
We don't
Weirdest
wanna-
piece of 90s merchandise, by the way, and it is propaganda. Like, go on.
Yes. Yeah, 1989, 90. No one had ever done this before.
There we go.
There it is.
Oh my God.
There were only, I think it was before, like, no, cable was around, but like all 3 major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, got together. We're like, we're gonna do a thing against, you know, drug abuse, and we're gonna include all the Saturday morning cartoons together. And it was about this boy who was smoking the reefer, and George C. Scott, who was the smoke, who was like the drug pusher, was like trying to take this kid down the dark path. And I did the voice of the druggie, little druggie dude. Yeah, it was. I worked by myself. I didn't get to meet anybody else.
Wow, my God.
That's see.
Oh man. Yeah.
And then you also got to work with like Lorenzo Music and Frank Welker also because he did Slime. Right?
Yeah, but I didn't share space with him. I recorded by myself. I didn't work with Lorenzo. Actually, the first cartoon I ever did before this was Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears. And I played Kevin, the boy who was friends with the Gummy Bears. I was the second Kevin because the first Kevin went through puberty and didn't sound like a boy anymore. So I'm always the second guy. I'm always the second guy. No one comes to Mars first. But I was a huge Garfield fan, and back in the day they would have these specials, and for some reason, like Lorenzo Music, who was the voice of Garfield, and Peter Venkman and Real Ghostbusters, but he was always obscured, like he always was in silhouette, like never showed his face. They made like a big deal about that. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, yes.
And so I'm like, I got to meet him, and there he is.
Wow, Lorenzo?
Yeah,
wow.
There he is.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was actually, man, I walked in that show as him. It was the first time working with June Foray, who passed away just last year. Paul Winchell, the original Tigger. I'm just name dropping now so you guys are impressed. Yeah, Cartoon All-Stars The Rescue, crazy. And I'm just surprised that people still bring it up.
Just one last thing.
Yeah.
They actually, a bunch of animators redid the whole song in different animation styles. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Really?
Chance,
I will check. Sorry? I will check it out. Thank you for telling me.
I have to check that out. Yeah.
Thank you guys for your work.
You're welcome.
Thank you, my friend.
I got a test for this guy. See if before I did Goofy, I did a movie when I was back in Dallas called RoboCop. Anyone see that one? The original? You can find a picture of me and RoboCop. There's 2 scenes where it's me and the camera. We'll give you a test here. See, but anyway, we'll go on. Yeah, over here. Yes.
I'm John.
John.
Question three for one. Will you sign my plush? I have a little plush I want you to sign.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Well, not right
how about
now.
after the show? I think
Yes.
we're busy right now. But.
When we're taking the selfies and stuff,
Yeah.
it's like,
Be glad to.
get it ready.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Like this one?
That's a plush, all right. Yes.
You'd be glad to, yeah.
We're not going to do it
Not
now,
right
though.
now, but after the show. Here.
Number 2.
Yes.
So Goofy is a dog.
Yes.
And so is Pluto. How does
Yes.
that work?
Okay. That's one of the big philosophical questions of all time. It is. I do both of them. You know, there's Pluto, so I get paid for both. But Goofy was originally Dippy Dog, D-A-W-G. He's kind of a mythical dog. He's kind of one rung up on the evolutionary. Oh my God! Oh my God, you did it! That's incredible. Oh, I had long hair at that time, and so Paul Verhoeven said, "Now your hair's too long." So I had like 5 minutes to go into the thing, and I cut my hair, and then I did 3 sessions on that. I let it grow out to where I liked it, and then they cut it again for another scene, and that was Dallas, actually, is where we recorded that. And
You said you still remember your dialogue.
oh, I do. Not this particular scene. This one I said. Let's see. Members of the police force are still on duty. Actually, the other scene I do remember because it was burned into my head. It's the first movie I got to do, and I was in front of Paul Verhoeven, the director. And so I learned this thing. I had like 3 weeks to learn this, and I had to say, terrorism has never been a factor in this city's politics before, but all that changed today when former city councilman Ron Miller entered City Hall with a gun. He's now upstairs in a second-floor office holding Mayor Clifford Gibson and members of his personal staff hostage. He has killed 1 or more of the hostages. Lieutenant Hedgecock, what's next? By the time I'd backed up on the scene, and we shot at like 2 in the morning, and Dallas was 90 degrees. Peter Weller was dying in the RoboCop outfit. They're blowing air up his sleeve after every take so he wouldn't faint. And I'm backing up, and these cars are like screaming in behind me. And I hit my mark way too early, and I had about half of that to still say. And so he said, let's cut this, this, and this. Okay, let's go. And I spent like 3 weeks learning that, just burning it in. So in the movie, it's much more just trying to come to me. Terrorism has never been a factor in the city's politics before, but members of the mayor's personal staff are being held hostage. Lieutenant, what's next? You know, and it was real terror, and it was very hot, 8 hours on a set, makeup, hot clothes, compared with a microphone and a chair, and my water is tepid, I can't handle this. Now it's voiceover is much more fun.
Did we solve the problem about Goofy and Pluto?
Okay, Goofy and Pluto, yes. Pluto was one of 2 bloodhounds in a 1930 cartoon. And so, but Goofy is like this mythical dog, so he wears pants and talks and does all of that stuff. Got a better agent.
This is the one I wanted to know most. So when did you start voice acting? Like at what age? Because I'm 18 and I wanted to provide be productive, but I feel like I see a lot of people like achieving things at a young age, and I feel like it's just too late sometimes.
Never.
No. I didn't get the job of Goofy till I was nearly 35. So I was afraid to go out to Hollywood. I thought, I'll never get any work out there. So it took a long time to get up the guts to go out to Hollywood. But I was a stand-up comic and impressionist, and I did those voices, like I say, ever since I was a kid. And it's just learn to, just play with voices. I in the old days, I'd do a lot of comedy where I'd do, you do the presidents and stuff like that. And I go back to, Kennedy. I mean, ask not what your country can do for you. And LBJ, my fellow Americans, And then Carter was, my fellow Americans, nice to be here. And then later on, Clinton was fun. I did that on the Tonight Show once. Hey, babe, how you doing there? Great to see you. There's a picture of me way there. That's back there in the old days there. And then, of course, Trump. I say, look at these hands. These are the biggest hands I've ever seen. It's gigantic. So you just play with stuff, and you record it and play it back, and you kind of figure out the little hooks of the voice, and you can kind of, so like some things you can do voices and not even do the voice. Like Reagan was That's all you gotta do.
Never too late. You all know who Steve Bloom is?
Yeah.
I think he started in his 30s.
Me too,
He just kind of fell into it, I started when I was younger. I was like 10, but let me tell you something. These are drumsticks. Just in case you didn't know. I turned 40 4 years ago, and I'm like, you know what? I always want to learn the drums. Is it too late for me to learn the drums?
No.
It's not. It's never too late to do
whatever you
what
want.
you want to do, John.
All right.
Thank you so much.
It's nice to see your perspective on it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said behind that mask, but you're welcome. Thank you for your perspective. You bet.
It's very competitive. It will. I'll say that for anyone wanting to get, because there's like 150,000 SAG members in LA alone, and on any given week, there's maybe 10,000 jobs. So on any given week, there's like 140,000 out-of-work actors. It's very competitive. So it's like getting out of high school and going to the NBA, because you are up against not only the best voice actors in the world on these auditions, but you're against celebrities now. Tom Hanks may want to play this role or something like that. And that's a thing that voice actors have to deal with, all the celebrities as well who want to do that. And the producers want to, hey, I want to work with Tom Hanks. So that kind of gives him a leg up in doing all of that. Plus, of course, the name recognition for box office. So it's very difficult to get the work. The work itself is a joy and so much fun to do.
We have 20 more minutes. I want to see if we
20
can get
more
through
minutes.
all the questions.
Yeah.
First, I have to point out there's dueling Maxes going on here right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm beside
that's
myself.
Roxanne, isn't it, over there?
Literally.
Where's Roxanne and Max?
Hi, Roxanne. Sorry I lied. Dad, I'm sorry I was such a dick to you. It's
I just wanted to know if you guys could voice another character in either of the Goofy movies, who would it be?
In the Goofy movies?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I would do Bobby just so I could do my Polly shot. Oh. Leaning tower, she's a Max. Also, I'll just be in the bathroom and be like, hey, Max, it's a leaning tower, she's
I'd probably,
why, I try and do Pete.
Because I'd never get to be the bad guy.
Your thumb goes. Hey, pal.
Yeah. That's he's a fun one. He's a fun one. Jim does a great job.
You would do, because you do it anyway. Who did Pat Butcher and me did it at the...
Well, I've done Sheriff of Nottingham a few times. That's kind of a fun one to do.
There's Pete right there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Yeah, and now over to Max.
Hi, Max.
Hi, my name's Trinity, and my theater teacher always talks about an actor's secret and something that you know about your character that nobody else will know because it's something that you interpret as the actor of a certain character. So my question for both of you is, what is something that you know about Goofy and something that you know about Max that nobody else would really kind of know because that's something you've built as the actor and the character?
I think I know Well, I'd have to know where Max came from. Who's his mom?
Another infinite question.
It's only my theory, but I think originally he had been married to Jessica Rabbit. Before Roger, and then they just kind of split up and Roger got in it.
What is it? What do you see in this guy? Yeah. He makes me laugh. Come on.
There you go.
That makes sense to me.
I guess that's it. We should do that. We should. The Mystery of Goofy's Wife. That'd be a good
Oh, gosh.
Not to sound like a shitty actor, but my process isn't like that. And I've heard that before, and I respect that. I tend to, not saying that preparation is not important, it is. But for me, I found that my preparation is much better because I will get in my head and I will get married to a rehearsal. So I try not to rehearse as much. I just try to get familiar with the character. Let's say Max, for example. I know that he's like, in the Goofy movie, he's 14, 15. He's got, angst getting older, dealing with his dad, not wanting to go on this trip. Didn't really think of a secret, just kind of like got that information, listened to the directors and producers, and just did it, just tried, and was willing to fail. Willing to fail with dignity is kind of like my mantra, because it's as an actor, that's what you do. You throw yourself out there and you're doing crazy stuff, and risk of being humiliated. Just going out there and trying it.
Yeah, it's being the character too. I think it's what you're saying. I went through like an epiphany with Goofy. The first couple of years, I was doing an impression of Pinto Colvig, because it was stepping into an already known character. So I had to do it like that. After a while, though, there was a thing where I kind of got into Goofy's skin, and then I could say anything, and it would sound like it came from Goofy. But it's a definite thing. It's a mind thing, and you got to get into the character. So once you figure out this character and you emotionally inhabit that character, then whatever you say as that character works, and that's kind of
But Trinity, if that works for you, hold on to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Different actors work different ways.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Max
over here, the left Max.
My question is, how do you think Max and Goofy's relationship would be if Max's mom was still around?
Whoa. That's interesting. Yeah. Well, if it was Jessica,
there'd be a lot more. There'd be a lot more children.
Yeah. Please, Goofy. Please.
I don't know.
That's it.
You stumped the panel. What do you think? Do you have any thoughts about this?
I don't know. I just wanted to I don't even know. I want to think about if they'd be as close as they are if she was still around. I don't even know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Max will probably have someone to bounce some ideas off of for sure. Maybe he'd be kinder. Maybe he'd have someone to understand. I feel like any sort of, let's not say Jessica, but any sort of mother figure would be like, look, don't be so hard on your dad. His name's not Bob or Dan. It's Goofy. What do you expect? Does that help?
Yeah.
I hope that helps. Yeah.
I think he'd probably be nicer and
I think
maybe
so.
a little bit less angry.
Yeah.
Yes.
If he had his mom around. But,
Totally.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
You bet. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
What's happening?
I'm just enjoying the con. My name is Danny, and outside of Disney productions, what is one voice acting role that you would absolutely love to do?
Oh my gosh. I would love to do more Warner Brothers. They're a little different than Disney and different directors and different projects. Sometimes they'll recast a lot. So a lot of guys have done Bugs Bunny and Daffy and everything. I think it's better when you have one actor, whether it's me or someone else, to do a character, just because when I was a kid, they changed the voice of Fred Flintstone because Alan Reed, who did the voice, died. And I knew that even as a little kid. I said, something's different. And it's not the same character. It's like on the old TV show Bewitched, Dick York, they got a new Darren, and it just didn't work for me. So I think it works the same in animation. So I wish they would stick with those a character like they did with Mel for all of those things. That continuity was real important. There, Dick York and I forgot who did the other one.
Dick Sargent.
Dick Sargent. Yeah.
What was on his
Yeah.
Triples?
Yeah, it looks like, yeah.
Star Trek crossover?
Or Snuffleupagus.
I've always, I'm a big Batman fan. I'd love to voice Batman at some point. That'd be cool.
Yes.
That's right, old chum.
Holy, holding a donut. Hi there.
We got a line here.
What's your name, sweetie?
Hi, my name is Lilith. Quick question, were you at the pre-kickoff party?
The pre-kickoff party?
I'm asking Jason specifically.
Yeah,
yes.
Billy.
I'll go to any party you bring me to.
With the pillow fight? Yeah, that was me.
Okay, that was you.
That was me.
The unicorn
In my
onesie.
onesie?
Nice skills.
Thanks.
So it's kind of a twofer. It's mostly for Bill here. So for Kingdom Hearts 3,
yes.
is there a line that you're reading as Goofy that you just looked at the paper and went, wow, this is nonsense?
A lot of it is kind of nonsensical, the way it comes about, because we get literally, it's a big book of I had about like 1,000 lines in that. And it's done, the whole situation is weird, because unlike anything else, that was done in Japan. I'm hearing the Japanese actor, Goofy actor, who studied me to learn how to do Goofy, and I'm doing it back into English. And it's really weird in your headphones. You're hearing the line. Okay, here's the line. Oh, come on, Sora, it's the Heartless, you know. And I got to watch the screen and make sure that the Japanese words and the English words are the same length. And sometimes it's like, and I'm going, let's go, you know, every time. And you want to do as close as you can so they don't have to reanimate too much to make the lip flaps work. And also, a lot of times I was the first one in the booth, so everything else is in Japanese. And so I'm hearing Sora in Japanese, and Mickey and Donald and everybody in Japanese. And I'm just putting in the English words. And it's not linear like a cartoon. You start on page 1 to the end. And Kingdom Hearts, it's like page 4, 6, 18, all the way through the thing in 4-hour blocks. So you're concentrating so much on the screen. It's a nutty experience and really, really weird. And a line. I don't even commit them to memory because I'm just concentrating so much on just saying this stuff. I could see the cat is yellow. You know, I could say anything, and it would just, it kind of loses, you know, meaning after a while. So it's just words after a while. It's hard to keep your mind, you know, numb. It's like certain projects are easy. Sometimes you go in and I go, and I go home. Other times, there was one thing where I had to sing kids' names in the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and I'd go, "Andy, let's go to the ball game. Bobby, let's go," and I had to do that 2,800 times for every kid's name. You'll go nuts doing that.
I believe.
Yeah, let's move on here. Let's see if we can get some more.
I just have one little bit for Jason.
Yes.
Max in Kingdom Hearts 3.
No. It's not even a spoiler. I mean, no, he's not. I didn't get the call, didn't work on it. Write your local representative. All right, we have
a little bit more time.
8 minutes.
Okay, let's see if we can get through some of these good questions. I'll be concise. Me too.
Okay. What's your question?
Hi. My name is Grace. I just want to say, before my question, I just want to say thank you. You inspired me and my older sister a lot when we were young.
Right on. Oh, well, thank you.
Sweetie.
My question was, were there any roles besides Max and Goofy you really loved?
You gotta speak up a little bit louder there.
Yeah.
Were there any roles besides Max and Goofy you really loved?
Any roles besides Max and Goofy you did?
Oh, gosh. There's always... Everyone kind of has a thing, but like Space Jam, doing that. Sylvester is one of my favorites to do of the Warner Brothers characters. I don't do that around fans too much because I spit on them. Fuck it, Ted. They're monsters! On, leg on's a fun one too.
I love when you do Foghorn. I voice this guy Cade in Transformers Rescue Bots, this sort of arrogant fireman. I don't know why I get cast as arrogant guys all the time. And
Chester McBadbat, ace photographer, friend of Timmy Turner. I live in a trailer. Yay!
Yay!
Hi, my name is Paris.
Hi, Paris.
You guys are awesome. It's not my childhood without hearing Jason Marsden or Bill Farmer, especially Jason, even though I'm like 21, I'm half your age, dude. But like, you're a defining person in my childhood and in my cousin's childhood. She had a crush on Kovu. And I'm calling
my goodness.
her.
We all did.
But,
I don't know, does everybody have a crush on Kovu?
hell yeah!
I had a crush on Jessica Rabbit. I get it.
Two questions are really short. So, Jason, for you, I noticed that your voice, when you voice, like when I hear your voice, it sounds mostly like your natural voice, and you always sound like 12. So how do you keep such a youthful sound to your voice all the time? And I don't mean that in a bad way, I'm sorry.
I didn't receive it as a bad way. I don't know how to answer that. It's just, I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. I'm 44. I still got dark, thick hair, and I sound young. And I don't know. I don't smoke cigarettes. I drink tea. I don't know. I try to take care of myself.
And then my second question is, what happened to Roxanne? I know the Goofy movie and then Extremely Goofy movie. It's 5 years apart. Did they just decide to get rid of Roxanne and just not take her to college?
She's like, yeah, she's like, how can I trust you again after thinking about it? She's like, you lied to me, and you lied to your dad. You're an awful person. I'm moving on. That's probably what happened.
Tough kid.
Valid. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Hi there, my name is Kyle. First off, I know you guys are probably sick and tired of hearing this. Thank you so much for all the work you do. You've inspired a lot of us.
We're just glad people still care.
I know for Jason especially, I know you were in a show Step by Step, which I love. You were with Dana all the way. But do you find like different challenges from going from a live action series to an animated series? Like, what challenges get you most behind that?
No challenges really. I mean, like I mean, on camera you have to show up at a certain time and you dress and the makeup and rehearsal and stuff. Voiceover, there I am. Voiceover, you show up in your pajamas if you want, and you're in a room full of knuckleheads having fun for 4 hours. It's it's very different, but not a whole challenge. It's fun, you know.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey, Roxanne. You forgive me?
Yeah.
Hey, we're back together.
By the way, I love both of your voices. Jason Marsden, I only know 3 of yours, but I've listened to Goofy my whole life since I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Oh, thank you. And the nice thing about voiceover, you don't change. Goofy sounds the same. I sound the same as I did in '87 as I do today. That's the best part of it.
And I am making a book on all the really, really Disney voice actors who have worked with them for like a long time, including deceased ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a really interesting book when it comes out.
Totally, sounds like it.
I have a few questions because I'm trying to get like answers from like the real people who were actually there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you mind asking one question? Because
Yeah.
then
Come by the table and I'll be glad to answer.
And then
anything
afterwards,
else.
come back afterwards.
You got like a great question.
I'm going to meet you later today. So.
Okay.
What do you do when you're not working playing voices?
Drink heavily. I love sports, and I love just photography, and just going on trips and sleeping. I guess it's what I'm getting old, so just hanging around the house and auditioning and doing these kind of things. I love to get out, and I haven't done too many cons in the past, a great number, but I'm going to be doing more of it because you guys are delightful, and it's so much fun to do it. And it's great to know that you care about this. It really is, because we don't get a sense of that in the studio. Yes.
I'll tell you later.
Hi, I'm Katie. I was just wondering, because I've heard from a lot of writers from Disney that Disney will show them their characters fan fiction. Did Disney ever sit you guys down and show you guys what people have been doing behind the scenes, with fan fictions and fan art?
I just don't do that on my own.
Just wanted to make sure, Disney got to keep you guys up to date on what your characters are.
I know what Goofy's been up to.
Hi, sir.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. So going back to Kingdom Hearts, even though you think that the role itself is weird, which it is, with the series finally closing, does that version of Goofy feel different or more special now that you've wrapped up his role?
Yeah, because of the challenges. It's always fun to do something a little bit different than what you've done in the past. And the challenges with Kingdom Hearts I'll always have with me, and I've been doing that for like 15 years now. And it's probably been the longest running single project that we've ever had. And so yeah, all of them have a little place in my heart, and it's a lot of fun to do it, and especially because the fans love it, and hey, that's what we're here for.
Ladies and Goofs, we had the sign that says time is up.
Okay.
But Billy and I are going to hang out for a short period. We'll take pictures, and I have an autograph at 2:30. You don't have to buy nothing, but you want to ask your questions to us there.
Yeah.
Feel free. If you see me walking around, grab me. I'll happy to talk to you, take a picture, whatever. Billy?
Same here. I don't know when I sign. I think about 5:30, something like that. I have a signing, and I'll be at my little thing with the pictures and answer anything you want to know. So
this has been the most fun. Thank you.
I had a blast. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you real soon.